Hello, my name's Lindsay Littleson, and today I'm going to be reading Chapter 8 of Guardians of the Wild Unicorns. Chapter 8, Lewis. As he followed Rhona, a memory from last night flickered. It'll be okay. I'll help you, I promise. Don't be afraid. Why had he said that? What had been going on in his head? Why had he acted so weird, so completely out of character? Maybe he had been hypothermic, imagining he was some kind of superhero. Halfway up the hill, Rhona was sitting in a rock, waiting for him. "Glad you're not in a gorge walk?" she asked. Lewis sat down beside her, felt the wind scud against his cheeks and whip his long dark hair into tangles. His mum would say that the tangles served him right, and he ought to get it cut, but Lewis liked it long, and it was his hair, not hers. "I'm 100% glad," he admitted. "I've already disappointed the instructors and Mum and made myself look like a loser in front of everyone. The last thing I need is to topple into a gorge and get rescued by air ambulance. But I'm sorry you're missing out. You've taken to this outdoor stuff much better than I have." Rhona didn't even bother to politely disagree with him. She nodded, her eyes sparkling. "It's amazing. I've never done anything more physically challenging than catching a bus to Buchanan Street. Now I've swung down cliffs like Tarzan, climbed mountains like Mulan, paddled a canoe like Pocahontas. I've had a brilliant time." "You watch way too much Disney, and it was a kayak actually, not a canoe. Whatever it was great. Just being up here in the Highlands is great. There are warmer places." Lewis tugged at the zip of his jacket so it covered the lower part of his face. "It's Baltic up here." "Well, get up off your bahookie. Exercise will soon warm you up." They kept walking until they reached the cliff face, scene of Lewis's abseiling fail. He put the binoculars to his eyes so they clinked against his glasses. Scanning his surroundings, he had to admit it. The Highlands were incredible. They were awesome. But there were no unicorns, not a single solitary specimen. "Okay, so it's a unicorn-free zone here," he admitted, and he could see the relief on Rhona's face. "I must have completely lost the plot last night. Let's go back and see if we can talk the catering staff into giving us some lunch." They found a different route, heading in the rough direction of the centre, following the path of a small stream that cut its way through dark brown peat and soggy sedge grass. At one point, the ground had caved in, leaving a deep pit. They walked carefully around it, hoping the ground wouldn't give way beneath their feet. "Scott says these holes can be deadly in winter," said Lewis. "Imagine going for a walk in the snow and dropping into a hole. How freaky would that be?" Rhona didn't answer. She'd stopped a short distance away, head bent, staring down at something. Lewis strained his eyes to see what she was looking at. A large, misshapen heap, its colour blending into the dark, wet ground. High up in the air, a buzzard keened. Lewis felt every muscle in his body tighten. The chill in his legs spread upwards towards his chest, a cold wave of dread. "Lewis, what is that?" Rhona's voice sounded tight, strained. His feet were frozen to the ground. He couldn't move, didn't want to see what was making Rhona's voice sound so peculiar, so afraid. "Please, Lewis!" Heart banging against his ribs, he walked towards her and gazed straight down at the dark, long-limbed heap crumpled in the pit. Rhona caught hold of his arm. "What's going on, Lewis? What's happening?" Pulling out of her grasp, he backed away, acid rising in his throat, sick with shock and horror. He'd known what it was immediately. Of course he had. The colour, the muscled body were all too familiar. They were looking at the unicorn, and it was dead. That's the end of Chapter 8 of Guardians of the Wild Unicorn.